Let's say good morning from our nation's capital to U.S. Congressman Derek Kilmer. Good morning, Derek.
Hey, good to be with you. How you doing?
I'm well, and it's been a busy week here in our nation's capital. A lot of things have been going on in the news. How has the transition to the new administration been for you? And let's talk about some of the things that they've been making decisions on.
Sure. Well, it's a bit of a bumpy start, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think there's real concern about a number of the executive orders that have come to pass. Obviously, the hiring freeze has a big impact in a region like ours, where the largest employer is the federal government, and we've heard real concerns out of Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and elsewhere about the impacts of that executive order. Obviously, getting a lot of attention are the executive orders associated with immigration and the acceptance of refugees, and a lot of concern about that.
Let's talk a little bit more about the hiring freeze then. What specifically is being frozen there? I know that enlisting in the military, I believe, is still an acceptable form there, but other than that, it's general contractors and workers?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Pentagon issued notice that the hiring freeze does apply to civilian defense workers. And while there was a provision laid out in the executive order suggesting that that positions that were directly related to the protection of national security would be exempted from it, unfortunately, as it sits right now, those civilian defense workers at the shipyard and at other entities around our region do fall under that hiring freeze. And so we've introduced, or actually we're in the process of introducing legislation to say that shouldn't apply, because I would argue that that the work that's done by Puget Sound Naval Shipyard is very central to our national security and certainly the readiness of the United States Navy. We've also, I led an effort in communicating to the new Secretary of Defense. We basically sent a letter to him saying this is a real problem, and we'd like his department to take a look at lifting the hiring freeze for entities like that. This is not just a jobs issue for our region. I think it does actually tie directly into our national security as well.
When it comes to these executive orders, we heard about a gentleman on a plane coming over, and in midair is when the signature happened. And so after that, all the computers and servers get updated with this information. Does it work the same way with these hiring freezes? And is it really that instantaneous?
The guidance that's come out of the new administration is, in essence, if you had a start date, if you have a job offer and a start date before a certain date, I can't remember, I think it might have been February 1st or something like that, then you could come on, and if your start date was after that stated date, your offer was rescinded.
Interesting. Additionally...
and again, like huge ramifications. As of right now, positions within the Veterans Administration are also impacted by this hiring freeze. And again, we've talked about this before. Our region has more military veterans than almost any other in the country. And the positions within the VA, we have been actively working to try to ensure that we're bringing on more healthcare providers, for example, so that we get rid of some of these wait times within the VA system. A hiring freeze like this, unfortunately, also affects that. So you're saying we're not going to hire new medical providers. We've got continued efforts to try to make sure that veterans are getting the care and the benefits that they've earned. And this just doesn't seem like it was fully thought through, unfortunately.
I got an email from your communications rep that additionally some funds from the EPA they were blocked from sending out some funds, and now that has been opened up. Is that right?
Yeah, there was, unfortunately, there was guidance issued to the Environmental Protection Agency basically freezing all contracts and grants. And it's important to put this into the context of half of the funding from the Environmental Protection Agency goes for contracts and grants. It's not, federal employees sitting 3,000 miles away spending money. It's, support for the Puget Sound Partnership in our region, and it's cleaning up toxic waste sites in Tacoma and things like that. And unfortunately, when you put a freeze on contracts and grants, it means you put a freeze on that work. Now, thankfully, we got some, I guess, late-breaking news that freeze has been lifted, or is in the process of getting lifted. But that's, again, that seems like, I'm a big believer in aiming before you shoot, and this seems like it wasn't well thought through.
Well, it looks like you have been asked to be part of the leadership of the House Appropriations Committee. How will the Democrats, now in the minority party there, work with the new administration and with the House Republicans to put forth a budget that works for everybody?
Well, I think you teed up the question really well, and I think the short answer is it depends. There's a lot of opportunity in that, listen, the vast majority of folks I talk to, want to make sure that veterans get the care they need. They want to make sure we've got safe bridges to travel on and good roads to travel on. They want to make sure that their kids can go to a good school. And those aren't Democratic or Republican issues, right? Those are just basic American issues. And generally speaking, the budget is a reflection of those values. And I think there is an avenue through which those issues can be done in a bipartisan way. Now, that hasn't been the way that Washington, D.C. has been working in recent years. So I guess we'll see. You mentioned the new role on appropriations. I'm really excited about it. I was made the vice-ranking member of the Appropriations Committee, and that puts me in a position to help our region better and to help our country better. Each year we work on 12 appropriations bills that basically provide funding for all the government agencies and the programs. And my hope is that this role puts me in a position to fight for some of those priorities in our region. Trying to make investments that can help put people to work, trying to make sure that we're providing more support to our military veterans, trying to make sure that if you retire in this country, you can be secure in that retirement. So those are priorities for me, and I'm excited about this opportunity because I think it puts me in a better position to stand up for those values.
Are there some things that you have seen or heard from the new administration that you could work with them on, or will the Democrats work more as kind of an opposition, fighting almost everything that the administration wants to put forth this time?
I think it depends on what the administration works on. There are some areas where I think there's really opportunity for bipartisanship. So, for example, there's been discussion of a big infrastructure package to try to deal with water infrastructure and roads and bridges. And, so I've spent much of the last week doing outreach to some of the local leaders in the region I represent, talking with some of the Mason County commissioners and folks from local government, talking to folks in Grays Harbor and up in Kitsap County, basically saying, okay, if there is an infrastructure bill, how do we make sure it has an approach that works for rural America and that actually benefits our region? And, I think that's an area where we could see some opportunity for common ground. A lot of it depends, though, on the approach that the new administration uses. We've been hearing that the approach may be very, very focused on kind of public-private partnership, things like toll roads. That doesn't really work in rural parts of the country, right? I mean, I don't know that there's a road that you could or a bridge in our area, certainly not on the peninsula, that you could stick a toll on and actually have it pencil for. So, that's part of the reason I want to make sure that as those discussions continue, the priorities of our region are well represented. The other area where I think that there may be opportunity is on tax reform. We have a tax code that's really messed up, to use a legislative technical term. And, it doesn't work for middle-class families. It doesn't work for small businesses in areas like ours. There's a bunch of tax breaks that exist largely because someone hired a good lobbyist at one time or another and got a tax break. But it means that you have a tax code that doesn't work for normal people. And so, I think that's something that, by and large, Democrats and Republicans can agree on the problem statement. Whether there can be agreement on the solutions, I think, remain to be seen. But I think that's an area where, I've expressed a desire to work with anybody who's willing to work with us to fix a problem like that. Now, there are going to be some things that we simply can't work on together, right? I mean, if there's movement, as there's been, to to create a ban on people of certain faiths, if there's a movement to defund women's reproductive health care, if there's efforts that are really more partisan in nature, I think it's very hard to find common ground on those sorts of issues, and we're going to fight against those sorts of things because I don't think it's consistent with the priorities or the values of the folks I represent. But if there are areas that that are targeted towards legitimate problems and there's a willingness to find a legitimate solution, then I'm game.
Derek Kilmer is the U.S. District Representative here in Washington's 6th Congressional District. Democrat Derek Kilmer on the phone line this morning. Thank you so much. Always good talking with you, Derek. Have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend.
Hey, great to be with you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Do you know you have access to the fastest internet in Washington State? Switch to iFiber Communications right now and take advantage of our special offers. Pay only $29.95 for 100 megabit high-speed internet, or get 3 months of internet absolutely free. That's right, $29.95 for 100 megabit speeds or 3 months of internet free. Shop, stream, and game like never before with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Call 360-427-4000 or check us online at ifiber.tv. Subject to credit approval, valid on a 24-month contract.